For those of you watching the podcast on a regular basis, or for that matter, those of you listening to it, I like you guys too. I like you too. I don't know. The watching is a lot more fun. You can see my bullshit expressions and my needless hand waving. La 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 la. I look like Kermit the Frog. In case you're just listening, I just did jazz hands that made me look like Kermit the Frog. That's not important. No, what's exciting is those of you who have been watching or listening over the last month or two, you know that I was robbed. I mean, cleaned out all my camera gear, all my sound equipment, and several other important accessories. And you know, once you find a nice wet well, you come back for more. So I immediately beefed up my security. I added security cameras. I added a new deadbolt. And despite all that, and then I take other precautions like when I'm not in here, I leave the light on and raw audio clips of my podcast running, so it sounds like I'm in here talking. So you never actually know if I'm in here or not. And the beauty is the DVR for the security system is not in the office, so even if you broke in, you wouldn't be able to steal that. And there's an additional camera on the inside, so anyway. So, what's great is they did come back. And even though they didn't get in, I did file another police report. And that did allow me to get extra patrols in my neighborhood. And I'm putting up pictures on the screen that show some of the damage that was done. And they tried to get in the second time with a crowbar, which would work if it wasn't a steel door, if the frame wasn't very thick. You can kind of see it behind me. It's very thick. And if I didn't have a deadbolt. But all those things are in play. Steel door, deadbolt, solid frame. They didn't get in. And you know, they tried because they broke one of my cameras. And they did quite a bit of damage to my steel door. Not enough that I would need to replace it, but enough that it's very evident they used a crowbar to try and get in. And I thought, you know, that's weird. Who would spend the money to buy a crowbar, you know, and walk around with it? And it turns out 1 mile from my house is Dollar Tree. And Dollar Tree sells crowbars. $1 for a crowbar in a neighborhood rife with break-ins. Okay, Dollar Tree, I appreciate you giving us low-cost snacks and plates and party supplies, but you're supplying criminals in my neighborhood with effing crowbars to break into my house. You are now part of the fucking problem. There is no reason to sell crowbars at Dollar Tree. There is no reason. I would like to confront them about this. I actually considered going in and talking with the manager about it, but due to my depression and anxiety, it's not going to happen. I mean, I can't even call my bank to check my balance if I have to deal with a human being. So clearly I'm not actually, I mean, I'd like to, if I get enough of you telling me that's something I need to do. I would be more interested in spending $30 to buy up their entire supply and throwing them in the goddamn trash. Or just taking them straight down to the recycler. Here you go, 30 crowbars. Give me 18 cents for the iron. I'll take it. I can appreciate that there are predatory businesses in low-income places. And this is a low-income place. There are pawn shops and Rent-A-Center and Aaron's. But Dollar Tree has no business selling crowbars. They have more crowbars in stock than realistically the entire city needs in total. My entire life, I have never needed a crowbar. Not with all the rentals I've owned, not with all the cars I've owned, not with all of the hookers I've beaten to death and dumped in the river. I've never needed a crowbar. Minimum sized mini crowbars have one purpose, and that is maximum concealment to break into homes and shit. If Dollar Tree starts selling bolt cutters and acetylene torches, we'll know that they are part of the fucking problem. But they are part of the problem because they're selling crowbars. God damn you, Dollar Tree. Get your shit together. Get your shit together.